Time for headaches and heartaches, and hopefully we can solve a few problems. Well, more to the point, Aoife McGrath will be able to solve those problems for us. Aoife, good morning.
Hi, Will. How are you doing?
The form is good, absolutely.
Great.
Then again, I'm somebody who has been married a long time. We didn't particularly wait around a huge length of time either to, have the question asked. Mm-hmm. And I'm reading the very first... I get a sense of pain from this. I was going to say it's a complaint. It's not really. It's from Sarah, who's 34 and has been going out with her partner for 12 years. They have 2 children together, but he hasn't proposed. And whenever she brings it up, he says it's just a piece of paper. But it bothers her more than she admits to him, and she's wondering, is she being old-fashioned? Or should she just stop waiting for something that may never happen?
Yeah, interesting. And you can tell that just from reading between the lines that that's something that has been brought up in conversation before and has been probably brushed aside or, like you said, kind of minimalised. That what does it matter? I suppose there's a few things going on here. Was it ever, had they ever discussed marriage, say, before they had kids? Because some people take the more traditional route. Like they know they want to be together, they take the next step, they get engaged, and it sounds like they've done the living together, having the kids. So they're both, I assume he would probably be the same age, also in his 30s. There's no age on him, but I presume they're both the same age, well established at this point. So it's interesting that maybe now she's thinking, or is it something that she's been thinking from the very start, but it's kind of got lost between rearing children, and just it sounds like the relationship is good, it's going well, and for her, marriage is the next step, and she's feeling that that's not the next step for her partner. So it'd be interesting to know, was it ever his next step, and was that discussed? So we don't know that, but I suppose
here's a dilemma. How early into a relationship do you start sussing that out?
Well, like I said, we have I presume, say for yourself, myself, maybe it was the more traditional route. It was, you're going out with someone, it's the next step, and it happens sort of in that sort of linear way. But with couples, like, there's all sorts of different traditions now, and a lot of people are having kids first. A lot of people are buying a house first. There's different milestones maybe that people see as more important, or as a different form of commitment than actual marriage. So it's, from that point of view, it's not always the next step. But for her, it sounds like it was on her agenda, definitely, to some degree, and maybe it wasn't on his. So a lot of things come into play there. It's like what your experience of marriage was as a child. So what sort of marriage you came from. Are your parents still together? Is there, are you coming from opposing backgrounds there? As in one set of parents are still married, one set of parents are divorced or never married? Are you coming from a single parent household? There's all those sort of factors as well that would sort of they would really feed into whether marriage is important to you or not, or is it just the status quo at the moment is working? It sounds like it is for them, and he's saying, well, why change it, or what will a piece of paper change? So then there's that part of it, like what she would, I guess I would wonder, has Sarah done much processing herself around that, about what she actually wants? What does it mean for her to get married? Because sometimes when we're it's almost a battle of the wills. I want this and you don't want that. It's more the focus on, well, why don't you want it, rather than why do I want it? Why do I want to get married? And is that something that she has, actively articulated to him? Does she even know herself? Is it like, it is one of the milestones of life. It's like, it's one of our societal big celebratory moments. And that might be part of it. It might be like, I've got the kids already, but I still want the day out. I want the celebration with family and friends. I want that sort of public commitment to each other. It could be that it might mean more security to her, again, depending on her own background.
Yeah, and I suppose there is a very practical element to it. And I know he refers to it as a piece of paper. But if he is just somebody with that mindset, consider the tax implications, for instance. And I don't just mean joint assessments, but if one of them passes away, heaven forbid, if they're married, then there's an automatic tax exemption for inheritance tax between partners. But for cohabiting couples, that's not there.
Yeah, and I suppose there is all those traditional securities and, joint, like I said, the joint bit of being married, like the legalities, the financials, they're all still there. And that's what marriage offers, I suppose, in terms of financial security. And that could be like a factor in why she wants to, make it official. So there's that. There could be, there could be a difference, like I said, about the event, the big celebration, that they could be very different people in terms of maybe he doesn't like a fuss, maybe he wants, doesn't want the formal thing, isn't into crowds or celebrating. And it's like, it can be, weddings nowadays can be totally what you want them to be. They don't have to be a church wedding, it could be humanist, everything could be in one hotel. If they've got kids already, it could be a family holiday that they choose to tie the knot in different countries. So it's like an adventure. They can invite as little or as many people as they want. So it's like, maybe that's part of it as well. It's like the thought of it is too much. Maybe it's thinking of the finances of it. It's too much of a burden, but it doesn't have to be. So there's all the reasons, I suppose, the reasons why he would be opposed to it maybe need to be explored more. But I think sometimes when we want something, we need to know why we want it. Because when we know very clearly, this is why I'm pushing for it, we can present it in a way that is more, maybe is heard better by our partners. It's not just, I want you to marry me, why won't you marry me, or why are you opposed? It's like, this means a lot to me. And it means a lot to me because it offers this, that, the other. And can you actually hear that? And then it's up to your partner to say, well, actually, I didn't think of it like that. And it's, it's more than just the finances. It's actually, it could be a really lovely way to just have that celebration or bring that bit of excitement and mark a milestone with my partner, who it sounds like everything's going well anyway.
Let's move on to a different dilemma completely. So Michael is in County Westmeath. He regularly visits his elderly mum, helps her with her shopping, her bills, her appointments. He absolutely loves her dearly. Mm-hmm. But he has his own family, he has a job, and he finds himself exhausted. He has siblings living nearby. They rarely help. And he certainly doesn't want his mum to be on her own, but he does need some support. So how does he ask for it without causing a family row?
Yeah, difficult one. I suppose it depends again how well the family communicate in general. Do they have like a group chat? Are they all kind of checking in on the mum, but he seems to be doing the majority of the work? Again, I suppose it's about communicating your own needs and your own perspective on the situation. So rather than focusing on like general complaints, or I feel like I'm doing everything, or, it's more, or just sometimes asking someone to do more is just too general. You need to be more specific. So it's like, can he have schedule an actual family meeting and see if they're amenable to that first of all, or if they have a group chat, maybe start it off there. And then it's about putting things in his perspective. So it's like, I enjoy doing this, or I'm doing that for mom, I'm doing this for mom, but I'm feeling a bit stretched, or there are certain days I can't do it. So if he's very specific about where people can fit in, I suppose to take the lead on it and to maybe see what their reaction is, first of all, to the fact that, when he lays out all the things that he's doing, and then I presume they all have their own families and commitments. But if he's sort of saying, this is really affecting my home life, then again, it's sort of expressing things from the eye, which I know I talk about it ad nauseum, but you're giving them an idea of what life is like for you. It's not a criticism, so you're not getting that initial the heckles are up because he's saying that we're not doing anything. He's only saying what life is like for him, trying to mind his mum and his own family life and probably his work as well. And then sometimes that information isn't there, because if someone is constantly doing stuff, other people are quite happy to sit back and let it be done, to be honest. I think we're all a bit like that in certain aspects of our life. So if he hasn't complained before, which it sounds like he hasn't really broached the subject, it would be a really good idea to get them all on board that this is a team effort, especially people who are living closer, because often it's the case that the people who are living closer to whoever needs to be minded are relied on a lot more, and it's the person who's traveling who gets maybe less of the burden. So it sounds like that's a bit unfair in terms of him not living in the locality and still doing a lot. So it is a good opportunity to sort of look at this as a more long-term plan. What are we going to do about mum? And to bring them along as a team and to let them know that he can't do everything and he's struggling, and see what the response is.
Do you suppose family dynamics over time play a part? So if somebody is maybe the youngest child, that's a factor because they're almost expected to remain at home. Or if they have always been the caring, nurturing type, well, it's deemed to be their nature and therefore they're going to do it, etc. That we all almost revert into our childhood dynamics when it comes to decisions like this.
Absolutely. And we all have there are roles in the family, and sometimes that's heightened when that shift occurs. So we become the carers, where the parent has always been the carer. There is a shift there in late adult life that we have to mind them more. And I suppose sometimes there's a bit of, where you come in the family, or even the dynamics of the relationships between parent and child come into play. And it could be like the youngest was spoiled, never did anything and still is doing nothing. So that's, you can get those sort of stereotypes, or people sort of fit into the roles that they've grown up in. But I suppose it is, we're all capable of change. And I suppose there could be a reliance there between, say, the mother in this situation and Michael. There might be a bond there that's very close, that the others maybe think that your mum prefers him doing stuff anyway. So there could be that at play for him. And maybe that's, again, a relational thing between them. But people can change and people adapt. So it's like, if you have been the child who maybe didn't do much, you can be encouraged to do your bit. And I think it's that team effort that it doesn't have to fall to one person. But I do see that a lot, where the old roles, if you're the nurturing, caring, and I do find a lot of this caring element does fall a lot to the women of the family. It's like it maybe is assumed that it comes more naturally to us to be nurturing or caring, and the men do the sort of practical stuff and the women do the minding. So there are those traditional societal roles at play as well. But it's I suppose it's broadening it out to, this is a team effort. Let's do what you can. What are you able for? And it could work out really well for him in terms of everyone just playing their part in it. If he expresses it as, I'm not refusing to do anything, or I'm not criticizing. I just think that this could work a lot better, especially people who are closer to her.
Aoife, we have a lot more to go through, so stay there. Aoife McGrath is a psychotherapist with Inner Therapy in Portlaoise, innertherapy.ie if you want to check out their website. And it's almost 10 to 11.
Here with the news and views that you can use. Midlands Today with Will Faulkner. Midlands 103.
After 11, how would you deal with bad behaviour in council estates? How tough would you be? Also, if you see a convoy of Honda 50s moving through the Midlands, well, there's a very good reason. You'll hear why in half an hour. First, though, Aoife McGrath is still with us, a psychotherapist from Inner Therapy in Portlaoise. And our next headache or heartache is from a listener in Birr, who says she has been promoted at work, but several colleagues have turned very cold, and she has worked hard for her position. But because of their response, she's beginning to dread going into the office. I imagine this isn't terribly unusual, Aoife. People whom you were friendly with and on the same level as see you differently when you're elevated.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's, not just work. I think, is it a national thing we have? A little bit of begrudgery. We don't like people raising their heads too far above the parapet. So I'm not, I think it's a little bit of the green-eyed monster play here, which is sad because, like she says, she's worked hard for it, she's earned it, and now there's this feeling that there's resentment. So the first thing I would say is to hold her head. No, there's no name on this. Sorry, hold her head high. She has earned that promotion. So in terms of going in and enjoying, if there's perks to the job, it's probably a lot more work. Try to focus on that and adjusting to the new position and the new responsibilities, and give a focus to that. Sometimes it's just change. People don't like change. People don't like, especially if there's like an elevated status or she's moved up maybe a grade above her peers. It's change. So everyone's adjusting. So I'd say maybe just, lean into the job and see if things settle. And if there's that residual feeling that, something's awkward here, then that it would be time to address it. But I'd say in terms of initially just wait and see if the dust settles, because I think it is people just adjusting to the status quo having shifted. And after that, it's direct conversation that I've noticed that, or is there an issue here, or, examining that or being curious about, do they actually want to voice something to her directly, to see if that helps. There was a very interesting reel that one of our counsellors, Anne-Marie, did on Instagram recently about jealousy, and about how jealousy can be a really energizing emotion, because if you see someone doing something that you think you should or could do, it gets you going. It's proactive. It gets you, look, I want that, so I want to work harder to get it. Or it can be toxic. It can be where you just focus on someone doing better than you, and resentment builds, and begrudgery builds, and then it's not serving you. So it's, and I know that's not her issue because this is on the colleague side, but it's just an interesting aspect. If you're envious or jealous of someone, you can use that energy to achieve more in your own life, or you can get bogged down in all the negative things that come with comparing yourself to someone else. So I thought that was really interesting.
Well,
but
yeah, we could talk about framing all day, couldn't we? Because is the glass half full or is the glass half empty?
Absolutely.
So it's that mindset. And you mentioned in Ireland we have a tendency towards it. In
do.
America,
I think we do.
Somebody has a big house on a hill. The people passing say, "Someday I'm going to have one of those."
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's like, how'd he get that? Who'd he screw to get that, or whatever?
Yeah.
So. I think, 2 fingers in the ears, let it pass and move on.
I
Probably
think so.
The best policy.
Yeah, I think so. And I think just see how things pan out, because people can adjust. And if they're like, you know what, she's the same person, she's just got a different role, sometimes it's just that period of adjustment that they need. And if she feeds into it, it might be creating something then that she's like avoiding them, or she's not doing her usual things that she used to do with them. So that creates a divide, and that might be misinterpreted by them as, oh, she thinks she's too good for us. So it's just maybe focus on the job, let things settle, and then if there still is those awkwardness or that feeling, to directly address it.
That is a challenge for new managers, all right, suddenly having to create professional distance where it didn't exist before.
Yeah, and for boundaries and things like that, yeah.
Aoife, thanks very much for your time. We will chat again soon.